Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. We're back again. It's another wonderful morning. I mean, the day have just started and it's wonderful. It's beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Yes, I'm Ibrahim Balde and I am with Mr. Ade Drame. We'll be doing the whole program together today. Mr. Ade, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure, as always, and we've ensured that somebody kidnapped Geneva Sonko just so I could do the whole program. so Balde is being host and amazing co-host.
Exactly. So, I mean,
yeah.
As usual on the program, we'll be doing the African proverb. We'll be looking at the African proverb then. We'll do the newspaper review on Community Watch. We'll be talking to Legal Aid. And on the topic for today, it's going to be protection of arrest and detention of children. We'll be talking about that, and we'll be having a personnel from Legal Aid. And on social issue, we'll be talking to Wanya Ami. She is a lawyer on data protection and cyberbullying. I mean, it's important and it's common. Recently, we've seen a whole lot of cyberbullying.
Indeed.
We've seen a whole lot of so we'll be talking to Ya Ami. And we'll also be having the click segments. Kengman Swizi will be here. Yes, as usual, Mr. Ade will start with the African proverb, and it reads, "You shouldn't hate someone you don't know."
I'm not even sure we need to discuss this one.
You shouldn't hate someone you don't know.
It is so true.
Yeah.
Because people don't know people, and they make assumptions. And what's interesting about this for me is that in the age of social media, people might see a single post from you on Twitter, Facebook, and they start hurling insults. Oh, you're the type of person who does this, 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 this. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had to check somebody. And I said, you don't know me, mister. So don't start insulting me based on a single post about a single topic. But people do this these days. So this one is even more relevant now because people jump to conclusions based on things, and they make assumptions about people they don't know. And I think hate is not too strong a word, because sometimes if you see the insults that are hurled at people, then it can happen. But I mean, on a personal level, when I was younger, I mean, I have to be honest, there are times when I was probably equally guilty of that. You know, I don't know somebody, I see them from afar, might be in the same school or the same university, and you have an assumption about them that, oh, this person is this, this, that. Maybe I didn't hate them, but didn't like them, and then you get to know them, and you find out they turn out to be really nice people.
Definitely.
So
well,
you shouldn't really.
I think society also counts a lot. I mean, there are people that, you know, society points at them as they are very negative people. I mean, sometimes those are the people who are standing for justice. I mean, these are people that stand for the right thing. Yeah. You know, it's sometimes when you say the truth, when you tell the truth all the time, I mean, it's not everybody that will like you.
True.
I mean, because most people want to live on what they want. I mean, the life they want. So it's if you are a person who will not accept that, people might portray you as a negative person.
True.
So, yes.
I mean, growing up, I'm sure we've all had instances when our parents have said to us, "Don't mix with Ibrahim Abalde," or not literally, but you know, this person or that person, based on what they think they know about the person. And then you, as somebody who is the same age as the person, you know, one day you come back and tell your parents, you know what, you know that boy you said I shouldn't mix with because his parents are this, that. Actually, he's a very nice person. He's nothing at all like his parents. I mean, again, growing up in Sierra Leone, there were two instances where, in one instance, the minister who my father was standing against in a general election happened to be my classmate, and he actually sat 2 desks away from me. His father was a guy called R.G.O. King, and everybody wanted us to be enemies. And you know, my father actually called me and said, "Look, I know you're in the class with this boy. He's not your enemy. You know, I'm contesting against his father, and that's it. You know, and we were friends. You know, we were friends. But you know, people in the school expected us to
exactly. So that's how, Mr. Ade, that's how society thinks. I mean, if you're not part of my party, I mean, we should be enemies. In fact, our families shouldn't link. I mean, these people are UDP, these are NPP, these are APRC. So we shouldn't, I mean, link. We shouldn't move in peace.
Yeah.
We should be enemies. People see things as enemies.
This is, again, and you know, and when I left that school, I went to another school. The former Prime Minister, Albert Magai, 3 of his children were at my school. And my father was in the opposition party to theirs. Again, they thought we were going to be enemies. We ended up being friends, not just in Sierra Leone, but when we went to the United Kingdom, we ended up at the same college. And we were friends up to this day. You know, 50 years later, we're still friends.
Just look how the thing is. I mean, I don't think there is any benefit in creating enemies for yourself. I mean, some situations are just a matter of accepting and moving on.
Sure.
There was a guy that I know. I mean, this guy, if you look at him, he's quite a rough guy.
Right.
When you look at him, his trousers are
so the
always,
kind of outside
his
appearances
trousers are always down, you know. When you look at him, he is more of a radical person.
Right.
You know, but Mr. Ade, I can tell you, interacting with this guy, I mean, just 1 week, I realized this guy is a good person. And I told my brothers, look, I mean, I judged him wrongly.
Sure.
This guy is a very good person. And he turns out to be a gentleman.
You see?
But his appearance and the way, I mean, sometimes the way he does his things. I mean, if you look at him, you think he is a bad man.
And I think you've made a crucial point there. A lot of the times when we misjudge people, it's based on appearances. And, you know, like I said, over time, we've probably all been guilty of that. But I think this is a lesson for our children and for anybody, you know, that don't hate somebody you don't know.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, once you get to know them, they might be very, very different to how you imagine them. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, don't hate somebody you don't know. That's the African proverb for today. I will take a short break. After the break, then we'll go straight to the newspaper review. We already have Foria here. We'll be back.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. And that's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
This is QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, and we've already dealt with the African proverb, which reads, "You shouldn't hate someone you don't know." Absolutely. I mean, that's a straightforward advice. You should not hate someone you don't know.
True.
Now we'll go straight to the newspaper review. We only have Foria here today. Gambians continue to raise concern on the ongoing new birth certificate registration. Well, it's the talk of the town at the moment. People are busy talking about it. People are busy gathering at the registration centers. And residents of Jalambang Estate expressed disappointment with Social Security Physical Planning Department. And we also have SIS official says a bunch of youth being radicalized to accept terrorism. And we also have former Health Minister Omar Sy laid to rest. And we are saying the Army spokesperson also urges fishermen to report cases of illegal fishing. And Serekunda National Assembly member appeals for government assistance to flood victims. That's what we have. I don't know what we have on the editorial. When will the President of the Republic deliver the State of the Nation address?
I think we've already been told next week.
Well,
I believe it's next week.
Foroya are still asking, when is he going to do that?
Yeah.
Well, it's good that, Mr. Ade, for a media house to be following up on this thing.
Sure.
And, you know, we can all attest to that. Foroya is one of the media house that is consistent, I mean, in following certain things. When
Sure.
you look at these TRRC sittings, I mean,
Of
they've been breaking down certain things.
Yes.
And they've also followed the July 22nd revolution. The youth should be told the truth. I mean, so you know, most of the time they follow these things.
This is true, but if we can just deal with the one, and I wish I had it here. The National Assembly actually put out the calendar for the next lot of sittings, and amongst those, and they were issued last week, so they should have had copies. They were sent to all media houses. They were sent to all media houses, and it does actually mention the date of the State of the Nation address, and I just wish I had it in front of me. So I could, but I didn't know that was going to be in the editorial. So the date is known, it's not a secret. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the former Minister of Health, Omar Sy, died, and he was laid to rest yesterday. I mean, this is a guy who was entrusted with our health ministry. Sure. Well, I know when you talk about health in Africa, there is a lot to be done, although other African countries have tried very well. Sure. You know, it's important for us to see our health ministries or other departments, you know, are put in order. Omar Sy, it's a person that many people trusted a lot when it comes to the health sector, and we cannot deny the fact that with little resources, I mean, they've tried their best, Mr. Ade.
Well, this is it. I mean, as you rightly said, I think you've kind of captured it in a nutshell there. Even somebody who is trusted, if that person does not have the resources to deliver, then there's going to be a problem. I mean, in the Gambia here, since I came, the largest infusion of new ambulances didn't come because of a government policy necessarily. They came because of COVID. You know, suddenly we realized that we were short of ambulances when ambulances were greatly needed, and suddenly we had a whole fleet of new ambulances. Had COVID not happened, it's fair to say we probably wouldn't have had that infusion of a new fleet of ambulances. So yes, even though you know, somebody might be competent, capable, and so on, they need the funds, they need the resources. And look, Gambia is a poor country.
Absolutely. And
we have to kind of be cognizant of that fact. You know, that there are certain things we can do. There are certain things we'd like to do that we're not doing. And you know, I always say that I would like to see more programs on radio, on TV, telling people about, you know, civic health, clean your environment. That keeps you healthy. It stops you having to go to hospital so many times. Well, if you live in a filthy environment, then it's a breeding ground for disease.
Exactly.
And so for me, if you haven't got money to spend, you know, cleaning your environment is not about money. You know, it's about discipline. And we don't have that, sad to say. And if we had that, we'd live much healthier. Well,
I mean, it would have been easy if everybody take up the responsibility of doing certain things. Sure. I mean, to make sure the things that will cause a whole lot of problems for us, if we prevent them, it would be easier.
Prevention is better than cure.
We do not have have enough resources in Africa.
Sure.
But I mean, if at all we use the preventive measures, I think most of these things won't affect us. I mean, as you said, prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, you know, the ex-minister laid to rest, you know, and may his soul rest in peace. And I know that when people die, people only seem to say good things about him.
Absolutely.
But I've heard a lot of good about him. So, you know, as I say, may his soul rest in peace. Yeah.
Well, it's good to do good. I mean, you never know when will people talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and Mr. Ade, I've seen something and it caught my attention. I said I should, I mean, share this on the program.
Sure.
Don't you think in the Gambia we should start reducing the number of old vehicle? I've seen a whole lot of old vehicle. I've seen a vehicle smoking today, like a vehicle smoking, heavy smoke, to an extent that, you know, it distracted the whole traffic. Don't you think we should start, I mean, looking at vehicles that are not roadworthy? I mean, for them to be taken off the road.
I'm smiling and almost laughing because anybody who knows me will know that this is a subject that I have spoken about probably from the first day I came to the Gambia. And when I first started working at QTV, I was driving to work one day, and the thing that really upset me was I saw some school children in their sparkling uniforms going to work, and a car exhaust just belched out black smoke and tarnished their uniforms.
Their uniform.
I was furious. I wanted to come down and slap the driver, honestly. I was that incensed. And you're right. I would go so far as to say 50–60% of the cars that are on the roads in the Gambia would not pass a motor ordnance test, an MOT, in Europe, America, or any first world countries. This morning when I was coming, the car in front of me, not only was one of the back lights smashed, but it didn't even have a bulb in it. So when the guy wanted to indicate to turn right, I didn't know that he was, because there was no indicator.
Mr. Ade, last night, I went home around 10 p.m. I was on the road going home.
Yes.
Mr. Ade, I saw a car that, you know, it doesn't have backlights, it doesn't have the headlights. The car was running in the dark. Nothing was on the car. Nothing to identify this is a car coming. It was dark, totally dark.
Listen, going home,
I wanted to
past Sukuta police station, a car that must have gone past it approached me, and I realized, I could see the cars in front of me were flashing the guy, and the reason they were flashing the guy was to say, you don't have any lights. Well, he'd just gone past the police station with no lights at all. And I left work at 10 o'clock last night. So that's how late it was. And that car, so by the time I got there, was what, 10:15? Straight past the police station. And I'm sure he didn't care because nobody was going to stop him.
Exactly.
Why would you be driving? So you have that. Now, either his lights weren't working or he forgot to switch on his light, but I suspected he didn't. He didn't have any lights. So you're right. There are lots and lots of cars that should not be on the road. And then we wonder why we have terrible road traffic
And
accidents.
if you look at that car, there is a sticker on the vehicle that said, the vehicle is roadworthy. I'm telling you.
Oh, this is it.
You know, we do certain things and get away with it, Mr. Ade. I mean, we break the rules and get away with it.
Well, I saw, we did a story on QTV News last night, I think, yes, it was last night, about journalists being trained in how to report on road traffic accidents and so on, you know, proper language to use, how to approach people, witnesses and so on, all that stuff. And, you know, I watched it and I was kind of slightly infuriated because I thought it's all fine getting journalists to talk about how to report on these things, but what we need to do is cut down the number and cut them drastically. And that's what is not about to happen because we have lots of these cars that are simply not fit to be on the roads. And I'll say this, we don't care. Really, we don't care how many people die. I don't care what people say.
Exactly.
If we cared, we would stop it. The fact we're not stopping it shows that we don't. We can say we care.
We don't.
But the actions speak way louder than the words.
Exactly.
The words, oh, this is bad, so many people dying. So what are we doing about it? Zero.
Nothing.
Nothing. 60, 50, 60, 70% of those cars should not be on the road and they should be taken off if we cared.
Well, in other countries, like even Senegal, our next door neighbor here, there are vehicles that, you know, they cannot ply on their road. I mean,
beyond a certain number of years.
The duration.
Yeah,
I mean, when you get to that time, I mean, that vehicle will be taken off the road, so it won't be there anymore.
And if it's any comfort to people in Gambia, Mauritania is even worse than us when it comes to old vehicles. There are vehicles that are 30 and 40 years old still on the roads in Mauritania. That's our near neighbor. So, you know, not that it's any comfort to us, but we should get our own house in order and take these rubbish vehicles off the road. They don't need to be on the road.
Mr. Ade, don't you think, I mean, we need to, I mean, call for a national dialogue so that we can be serious on certain things that we do. I mean, we have a whole lot of laws that are not implemented. I mean, we have them, nice, beautiful laws, but they are not implemented.
You know, they held a forum last year, September, October, where they went through a lot of the laws that we had inherited from the colonial times. And they were trying to get them out of the statute books. And we did the story on QTV News. But, you know, for me, it's all very well getting rid of these old colonial laws. But even the laws that we've passed ourselves recently, how many of these have we enforced? Very few. So, you know, it's fine getting rid of colonial laws, but, you know, we don't enforce here in so many ways. We pass, we go and we go to a workshop and a seminar, we validate this stuff. Validation's fine. What about putting them into action?
Exactly.
What about implementation?
That's the problem we have. I mean, putting everything into action, implementation, it's our problem. And even if we implement, I mean, to sustain it, becomes a problem. There must be someone who always break the rules. So now let's look at the Gambia Transport Union president, the General Transport Union president. He was here the other time.
I saw him.
I mean, right now they're talking about extending the duration of the driver's license in the Gambia. If your passport can go for 5 years, your ID card can go for 5 years, I think your license would go for 5 years. I don't know what you think.
I got my first passport in Sierra Leone. I got my first driving license in England in 1989.
89?
I still have it. I've never had to renew it. I've never had to renew it.
I think I was 3 or 4 by
okay.
then.
So I don't even know why you have to renew it once, twice. Well, in England, America, you don't have to renew it. I've never had to renew my license since 1989. It's still the same license. They brought in ones that had the old ones didn't have your picture, and then they brought in one with the picture. That's the only change. Other than that, you pass your driving test because it's proper there. You can't pay.
You have to go through the test.
And I mean, they arrested a woman last year in Wales who had taken tests for 126 people in different counties in Wales, and then they caught her, and she's of Asian origin, and 126 people. So there are people who try and beat the system, but generally it's a very robust system. You pass your test because you have to go through a proper driving test, and then you get your license and you forget about it.
I've seen people whom, you know, I mean, they cannot drive. They don't even have a car, and they're having a license.
I know. I've seen it here.
Can you imagine?
I've seen it here.
You know.
Sad to say, including some friends of mine.
You know, it's really sad.
It's
so
shocking. Yeah.
I think, I mean, they should at least try to review and increase the duration of the expiry date of the driver's license.
But like I said, you have an expiry date here, but in other countries they don't. So, you know, you could drive to I mean, they started recently in England wanting to test people who were over a certain age because they had lots of 80 and 90-year-old people having crashes because they were losing their sight, and they didn't want to, you know, use glasses or something to drive, and they were having car crashes. But even then, there's been a kind of pushback against it happening, that, you know, once you have your license, it's for life. So
definitely.
It's not, there's none of this 5-year or 1-year renewal.
Yeah. Let's go back to Jabang Estate. I mean, the residents of Jabang Estate expresses disappointment with social security and physical planning. I mean, Mr. Ade, I cannot understand. There are certain things in this country that I don't understand.
Yes.
How can you give someone a land, or you sell someone a land
on a waterway,
and you give them, you know, genuine papers? I mean, these are papers that are real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of the time, you didn't even calculate well to know, okay, this is a waterway. I mean, someone should not build here.
For me, it's quite scandalous, because what you have is, if you see some of the houses, they must have cost millions of dollars to build, and now they're going to be destroyed. I would be amongst those residents. I would be furious, because I have been legally given the plot of land. I've been legally given permission by the physical planning department to say, yes, you can build on this patch of land, 30 by 40, 30 by 50, whatever it is. And then years later, you come and tell me that I shouldn't have built on a waterway. Well, you know, I was given this land and I was given permission. I would be furious, and I would expect maximum compensation if it's inevitable. And as I said, I would be furious.
Well, the other day I was discussing with someone, and he said, did you get a building permit? Like, I mean, before you build, you need to get a permit that you should construct, I mean, the structure here.
Yep.
Well, I said to him, look, I'm surprised. In fact, I'm surprised you're asking me this question. No. We don't have that here. We just build.
That's quite shocking. But you still have to go to physical planning. And
you still have to go there. I mean, but I think all these things, I mean, should be, sometimes communication is the problem. I mean, most departments are there, they don't communicate. If you don't communicate to people, people won't know these things. I mean, you can see the, like the literacy level in the Gambia. you've seen the percentage. Most people don't understand certain things. I think it's important.
And the official percentage, whichever it was, I've never believed it, by the way, but carry on. Yeah.
Well, you cannot compare it with...
Based on what you've seen on a day-to-day basis, is way lower than whatever the official...
Well, I have seen the percentage for Cape Verde. I was surprised. Yes. You know, I was like surprised to the core.
87.9%.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, so you can see, I mean, that's supposed to be the case. You should get a building permit before you build. Yeah. I mean, but sadly, people don't know this. People don't, including myself. I mean, I think, you know, I didn't know this before.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go to physical planning when I was building and did all the sketches and so on. Luckily, I had a proper architect who gave, you know, all the right drawings and so on. So there is a sort of system, but again, it's about enforcement, it's about implementation. As you said, you didn't know that you needed to do this. Everybody should know this. And you know, it's up to the media, radio, television, the newspapers, to bring it to people's attention that there are certain things that you have to do as your civic duty. And one of those is to get permission to build if you're going to build.
Exactly. Serekunda Nam appeals for government assistance to flood victims.
Everybody's appealing for assistance.
What do you call assistance? I mean,
well, it depends. What's he asking for?
Well, I'm seeing bags of rice here.
Yes, he might be meaning cash or so on, because for many people, houses have been destroyed, furniture has been destroyed, clothes have been destroyed. They will need all those replaced. So bags of rice are fine to fill your stomach, but what about everything else that you've lost to the flood? You will need all of those to be replenished.
You know,
I suspect that's
when that flood happened in Basse a few weeks back, I think there's an official who said, okay, we've given them 30 bags of rice, we've given them, you know, oil, we've given them. I said they don't need bags of rice and oil. All they need is get them a proper location for them to move. I think bags of rice, oil will not be the permanent solution.
You're spot on. Those are temporary solutions, because in the long run, what happens if it floods again next year or the year after or the year after? You give them bags of rice, you give them oil, they cook, they eat, and then they go back to their houses in the dry season, and then in the rain season, you're giving them more bags of rice and oil again? No, as you rightly say, move them to somewhere that is away from a flood-threatened area, and that would be the sort of more sensible and permanent solution.
Exactly. Quickly, the Army spokesperson urges fishermen to report cases of illegal fishing. I mean, it's like people are still encroaching in our rivers, fishing.
Yeah, I mean, we hear this all the time, but the Army are right. If you don't report it, it then just becomes rumor. And everybody says, oh yes, they're encroaching. Well, where's the evidence? You know, report them and they can be apprehended, they can be dealt with. But if people just have these rumors, oh, you know, fish is scarce because these Senegalese or these Mauritanians or whomever are coming and fishing in our waters, then it's just talk. You have to report if you see it. And then if you report, hopefully they've given them a number to call or a way in which they can report, and there could be a kind of rapid response. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, so yeah, it's a good idea. But again, implementation.
Well, I think reporting them will be the best. I mean, when you see such an activity, it's your right for you to report, because at the end of the time, it's affecting the country. It's affecting me, affecting any other person. You know, when my wife, if she goes to the market, she tells, okay, it's expensive. Getting fish, it's far expensive now than even buying a kilo of meat. You understand? But I deny it all the time. So the other time I went to buy fish for myself, when the lady said to me, this one is 500, I was like, what? Really? Really? So it's that bad?
Then you know, I mean, that's the time you know. And of course, for these fishermen, it's also impacting their livelihood, because fishing is their livelihood. It's their job. It's how they earn a living. So if people are encroaching, then it's obviously reducing how much they can earn as well. So on that score as well, they have a duty and they have reason to report, but they need to report.
Exactly.
And if they report, they need to see that action is being done, taken. Otherwise, they'll stop reporting. You know, what's the point we report and nothing happens? I'll stop reporting, won't I?
Exactly. Well, Mr. Ade, thank you. That's the newspaper review segment for you. Cool. And now we'll look at social issues. We'll be talking to Ami, a lawyer. We'll be discussing data protection and cyber bullying. What we'll do, we'll take a short break. After the break, the program continues. We'll be back.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
To build.
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
Light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
With ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Your favorite QCell service has gotten bigger. eFunkanta. Now you can loan bigger credit amounts to make life easier for you. Loan $75 and $100 and pay later. Yes, you heard me right. Get credit loan from $10 to $100 using eFunkanta by dialing *393#. Anytime you run out of credit, whether you want to buy Q-Power, browse the internet, make urgent calls, or send SMS. eFunkanta is the service for you. Dial *393# and choose the loan amount of your choice with no hassle. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, the pioneers of mobile loan service in the Gambia. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. So we've dealt with the African proverb, the newspaper review. So if you miss anything discussed here, you can go to our website or our Facebook page. You know, you can follow anything discussed, anything you missed on this platform. Now, we'll go to social issues. We'll be discussing data protection and cyberbullying. We have Ami, a lawyer. Ami, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Balde, for having me.
Yes. Mr. Ade, we're going to discuss a very important topic here. As you know, cyberbullying is common, and people are going through it. So we will just go straight to the discussion. Let's start with data protection first. What do you mean by data protection?
So data protection, usually when we talk about it, we talk about it in conjunction with your rights to privacy. So we know that your right to privacy is a fundamental human right, and it's a broad subject and covers a lot of things. And data protection is a specific aspect of it. In the Gambia, our right to privacy is obviously protected by the Constitution. And data protection is basically looking at how third parties have access to our personal data, how they collect, store, use, and also process our personal data. So that's basically what data protection is looking at.
Exactly, interesting. So how do I protect my data? How do I go through that process?
That's a very interesting question, because we're in a digital economy, a digital world, and we'll say now that data is money, right? And whatever we do on a social platform or on the internet is basically sharing our personal information in one way or another. Our browsing history, shopping online, even accessing Facebook, that's us sharing our personal data. And sometimes you need to ask yourself, especially when you're downloading these apps, I'm using the app, is it actually free? Accessing Facebook, we think it's free, but the companies are actually using the information, our personal information that we put there, to make money. So how do you protect yourself? How do you protect your digital footprint? How do you ensure that what you want, what is out there, is the only thing you want to be out there, is to make sure that you're very protective of it, right? Just as how when out in the physical world, in your house, you have certain protection mechanisms to make sure that people that or intruders or trespassers do not get into your personal space. Is the same way you have to operate in the social media space. Only information that I would say can identify, but do not really go into details of your personal life. For instance, some of us, we have tried to separate our personal from our professional life. And what I tell people is that when you want to know what your digital footprint is, just Google your name and your work. So you would see certain information that you've posted maybe 10, 15 years ago that for you, you've deleted. But it's still there, because we say the internet never forgets. So we always try to tell people to be mindful about what they post.
And it's interesting you say that. Just to pick up on the last point that you mentioned, just before I came on this program, somebody sent me a message on Twitter saying, I really loved your article. I didn't know this is this. This is an article I wrote 6 years ago. She only saw it today, read it today. So you're talking about the digital footprint. Now, just to go back to your point, Balde, about, how do we protect our data? A lot of the time it's not for us, the citizen, it's for the people who collect our data. And a lot of time when we give information about ourselves, sometimes there'll be a box that says, do you want us to share your information with anybody else? And a lot of times, because we want to access the service, we don't actually read it. We just tick that box. But that opens you up to all sorts of things. People can then start bombarding you with adverts you don't want or you don't need, and so on. So a lot of time, if it's on a piece of paper, you might pause and take time to read it. But when it's on this kind of digital space, we just go with the flow. You tick that box. And then next week, you start getting bombarded with emails and stuff selling you products that you don't want or need. Exactly. So it's not usually on you.
Yes, I've also
it's on the
seen something. I mean, there are apps that you download on Play Store or App Store. When you download them, if you tried using those apps, you start seeing a whole lot of ads popping up. I mean, those things are very inconvenient.
Yeah, and I think that's what Mr. Ade was just explained, because all of these companies would have what is called a privacy policy, right? And when you're clicking, or when you download it and you want to access it, it would say, do you agree to the terms and conditions? Most of us, I'll say 95% of us, don't read the terms and conditions. And basically, some of them would have access to your contacts. Some of them would have access to your browsing history and all of that. So once you click OK, you've given them the right to use your data. To use your data, to access and use it. Accessing it is one thing. Using it is another thing. So they can use it for themselves to market or send adverts, but can also sell it to other companies. So they can also use your data for whatever purposes. So that data protection is basically looking at how corporations, companies, and even the government, when they have access to our data, or when we give them our data, to only use it for the purpose that they've taken it for, and also make sure that no other person can use it or have access to it without our consent.
I'm glad you said that, and just so that anybody who knows me will know that I actually worked on the British data protection laws, and that was one of the crucial points that we had to deal with, because at a certain time in the late 80s and early 90s, the British government spoke a lot about joined up government. And so they imagined that there will come a time when, as a citizen, Ibrahim Abalde might give his data to the Ministry of Information, but then the Ministry of Works might want to contact him, and they can use that same information. But even a government department that wants to do you good is not allowed to access your information if you gave it to another government department. So the law is very strict. They can only use it for the purpose for which you gave it to that. If you have to give your details to 10 government departments, so be it. You can't give it to one and they share it with the other 9. And this is what we have to get used to. I mean, now it's been running for 25 years or 30 years in the UK, but we have to get used to it here in the Gambia because it's coming
Well,
new to
the Gambia, do we have a data protection, I mean, law, I mean, a legislation, like, do we have that?
No, currently we've been working on the data protection and a bill for the past 2 years, and we're hoping that it would be passed or enacted this year. But from the look of things,
what is delaying that law, that bill?
Because it had to go through a lot of consultative processes, committees have been set up, but also I think I don't want to say lack of commitment, but probably understanding and appreciation of the need for us to have this law in place. Because I think, especially in the Gambia, we are very free in terms of giving our personal information. And also, governments and the government and the people, corporations and institutions are also not very mindful about some of these things when it comes to data protection. So I think for us, it would just be to urge the government and the people in charge to sort of make sure that the bill is enacted as soon as possible. So some of the rights and protections that are provided for in the bill can actually be in place, so people can have the protection that is needed.
I mean, yeah, Ami might not want to say this, but I will. I think it's to do with capacity, because if you're going to bring in the sort of law that we're talking about here, every government department, every ministry has to have a data officer, a data controller. That person has to be trained. To oversee this, if you want to mimic what you have in England, you'll have to have an information commissioner. So if any government department or any ministry abuses or misuses your data, you can report them and they can be fined. All of that structure has to be built in. It costs a lot of money. So we can't just say we passed the law. You pass the law and then what? Can you enforce it? Can you implement it? Have you got the funds to train the people to be able to deliver on it? It's fine saying we want it because they have it in other countries, but how do you police, police it?
So do you think Gambia, we are ready for it?
And that's the question.
Do you think we are ready for it?
I think, because if you look at it, if you look at the Information Communication Act, for instance, we have some provisions in terms of data protection and privacy. But like Mr. Ade mentioned, implementation and enforcement is a problem, because some of these things, even when issues come up and you talk to enforcement officers, they will tell you they're not aware of these legal provisions. And the bill I'm talking about is supposed to be a specific legislation just for data protection. So he is right, because we in implementing the bill, the act itself, when it's passed, we need to have a independent supervisory authority that would be responsible for ensuring that the personal data of people are protected and every institution complies with the legislation. So all of these things need to be in place, but also there needs to be a lot of education. Because even without the bill, or even before the enactment of the bill, people need to know their rights. They need to know the importance of securing their personal data and personal information, especially, like I say, in the digital age. So all of these things are not yet done, and I think these are things that need to be in place. Probably the government can work with other stakeholders to come up with a roadmap on ensuring that we are able to do, leading up to the enactment, things are done, or we tick all the right boxes before.
I have a question regarding, you know, a lot of our young people now, they use a lot of this digital stuff, and they're the ones that we should be worried about giving their information freely. Are you aware of any projects that go around schools and the colleges to actually sensitize them about proper use of giving their data? Are you aware of any?
Not with the government. Most of it is done by CSOs.
Right.
Personally, I've had engagements with another CSO that is working in the digital rights space to do a summer training for young women and girls on digital safety and security. And the interesting thing from my personal experience in some of these, with respect to some of these trainings, is that most of them would have access to phones and all of that. Some of them have never used laptops, right?
Yeah,
but they are already on social media. And some of them we're not also aware when we start, because we did a needs assessment. So they're not even aware of the fact that the information that you put out there would be there forever.
Sure.
We say like I said, the internet never forgets. So we try to do, and I know that there are other organizations that actually try to engage young people with respect to sensitizing about how to use digital media and digital technologies effectively and safely. But I'm not aware personally of any major project outside of the activities of CSOs.
And I once saw a demonstration which kind of brought this to mind, and it was in the UK. And what they did was they brought in a guy who said he could hack into people's bank accounts that needed a password based on everything they had posted on social media. And they said, oh, this is rubbish. And so he said, okay. At the beginning of the show, they introduced him to a mother and a daughter. And he went on their Facebook, their Twitter, all the accounts he could, and he found all the information, the school they attended and so on. And using that information, because sometimes when you go on a website, it prompts you. It says, my daughter's school for the password. And by the end of the program, he had hacked into their bank accounts and they showed it on screen. And he said, because you've posted everything about yourselves on social media. And so people do this and they need to be careful. It really is. So, you know, this is why I'm asking about, you know, what are we teaching, particularly young people who do this without thinking? Because they think, oh, you know, it's Twitter, it's Facebook, I can post this stuff about myself, my brothers, my sister, my mother, and so on. But, you know, I mean, you say it's the CSOs who are doing it. Should it be more than the CSOs? And if so, who?
It should be more than, I think the government has a very important role to play, especially I would say the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, because digital economy is a new ministry, and we cannot have a sustainable digital economy if people are not aware of these things in the cyberspace. I think they need, but it cannot be done by just one actor in the space. It has to be a joint collaborative effort and a multi-stakeholder approach. So academia, because these are things that could be included in the schools.
GSM companies?
GSM, well, most of them are actually the violators of data. Most of them violators of data protection provisions. And so it's, like I say, it has to be a 360 approach. But just to add on to what he said, we've seen in other countries wherein stalkers and serial killers are actually using people's personal data to even robbers, thieves, because I'm tweeting about where I'm at every day, or I'm taking photos and I'm posting. Every Sunday I'm going to this place and I'll be there. So if you want to track or have a pattern of someone's life, especially a person that posts a lot on social media, it's very easy to do. Yeah,
definitely.
So,
which is why cyberbullying comes in.
I think it's important for us to discuss cyberbullying before we move. We've seen a whole lot of it. Time is against us, but I mean, we've seen a lot of it now happening in the Gambia. I mean, it's not something new anywhere. Yes,
cyberbullying, I think what we say, some of us that work in the digital rights space, is that what we see on the social media is a reflection of what happens in the physical world. So it's because it's the same human beings. It's what we do in the physical world that we are replicating in the social media space. And cyberbullying is basically like normal bullying, but it's just that you're using digital technologies to either intimidate or threaten or blackmail another person or individual. And we know it has very devastating effects on individuals or victims, psychological, emotional, even financial at certain stages. So the sad bit would be, or is that there are no specific legislation dealing with cyberbullying.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, and even with respect to developed countries too, they're struggling trying to regulate it. Because the idea is that the digital space should be free, should not be regulated. But now it's about how do you strike a balance between people committing these crimes or cyberbullying or threatening people, and also ensuring that we can continue to keep it as a free space where people can express themselves freely. So that's the thing. We've seen also, but what we've seen is that specific platforms have come up with ways to tackle some of these things. So Facebook, Twitter, and others, you can report accounts, you can report tweets, or you can report posts, you can block the person. But it all also goes back to sensitization and also talking to people, because they also need to know how to, when you're a victim of cyberbullying, how do you go about working to, like, making sure that you're, you continue using it does not drive you away from using social media and stuff like that. So it's a whole lot that could be done.
Yes, I mean, I wish we have had a lot of time. Time is against us, they're telling me.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, Amit, thank you very much for coming on this program. I think we will invite her and do this again.
Thank you very much for having me,
Yes.
Mr. Balde. Thank you, Mr. Ade.
Viewers, will take a short break. After the break, then we'll talk to legal aid. And our topic today is procedures of arrest and detention of children. We'll be back.
Save up to 50% energy with the new side-by-side Samsung refrigerator. Samsung air conditioners come with HD filter and antibacterial for your protection. Save time, energy, and effort by using our washing machines, loaded with innovative features that offer superior cleaning technology. Step into the future of television with our slick and slim Samsung Smart TV designs. Sizes range from 32 to 85 inches. Smart LED, Crystal UHD Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dark LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV. Unparalleled vision, right from the comfort of your living room. Our products are backed with 1-year warranty. Visit us at QCell Building at Caraba Avenue or at Boost Turntable. Contact us on 333-3217 or email us at info@quantumnet.gm. As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, the Gambia's trusted network.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
From that short break, and we'll now go to Community Watch. We have Legal Aid here. As you know, Legal Aid is our now they are our partners in this program, because every Wednesday they'll be here to talk about, to take us through on legal matters. And now we have Tamsir Jallo from Legal Aid, and we'll be talking about procedures of arrest and detention of children. It's important. Tamsir, you're welcome on the program.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you very much, Mr. Bande. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Let's talk about children. It's important. They are, like it is said, a child is a child. You know, so it's important sometimes to know how to handle. Most of these children don't understand the law. So tell us about the arrest and detention of children.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bande. First of all, I want to give a brief overview of the juvenile justice system in the Gambia, because looking at the Gambia as a country, we have the main criminal justice system, but also we have the juvenile justice system. And when it comes to the juvenile justice system, you realize that the Gambia ratified the CRC, and out of the CRC, then we passed a law that we call the 2005 Children's Act. So the 2005 Children's Act clearly stated that all children in this country can only be subjected to the juvenile justice system. So what the Children's Act did, it gave a definition, the age of criminal responsibility, and it says a child that is criminally culpable, it starts from the age of 12 years and to the age of 18 downwards. Between 12 and 18 downwards, anyone that is found anyone that commits a crime can only be subjected to the juvenile justice system. Yes.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Ali, that's interesting.
It is, and I particularly interested in this because 2 weeks ago we did a story on QTV News where you had 40 police officers being trained in exactly this sort of thing, how to handle cases that involve children. Are you aware of the sort of training that has had to be given to police officers and others around handling children and child-sensitive cases?
Yes. In fact, last week and week before last, the police invited us where we gave a presentation from our office on the issue of how to handle children that are in conflict with the law. Because looking at the Children's Act, the way it is, the police are one of the key actors in it. And then the Children's Act clearly stipulates when a child is in conflict with the law, the procedures that have to be taken and who is responsible. So that's why when you looked at the Children's Act, it went further to establish within the Gambia Police Force a special unit which is called the Child Welfare Unit. That unit main responsibility is to effect arrest, to prevent crime, and also to deal with children that are in conflict with the law. Because what the law says, in fact, those are the people that are mandated by the law to effect arrests on children. Those are the people, once a child is arrested, those are the people that can deal with that child. It's a special unit that is established by the Children's Act under the Gambia Police Force.
Well, if a child is found wanting, I mean, what are the procedures that should be taken?
Okay. The law says, when you look at the provisions of Children's Act, due to the vulnerable nature of children, the law decided to come up with certain protection mechanisms. Even though, and if an adult is arrested, there must be certain procedures. Those are the same procedures that will be followed, but they are a little bit different when it comes to children. Because when it comes to children, the law says the moment a child is arrested, the first thing that the police should do is to contact the parents or the guardians of the child. And in the situations where they cannot reach the parents or the guardians of the child, the first thing they should do is to contact the Department of Social Welfare, where the Department of Social Welfare is required to provide either a social worker or a probation officer. That person will come, step in, and stand to make sure that the best interest of the child.
To serve as the parent of the child.
In such a situation, to make sure that the best interest of the child is adhered to. So once the child is arrested, the parents are informed. The child have the right to be informed that he had the right to remain silent, he have the right to legal representation, he had the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And it is mandatory and a requirement that during the processing, the best interest of the child is key. The law even went further and said, the moment a police arrests a child, the first thing you should consider as a police officer is to release the child. So basically what the law tries to do, it's all about giving protection, looking at the vulnerable nature of how children are.
Yes, I just wanted to come in there because one of the things that people discuss when we talk about this is that you have a situation where the child is accused of a particularly violent act. And for society's sake and for the child's sake as well, that child needs to be kept somewhere. Do we have the sorts of detention centers that are specifically there to cater for looking after a child, to protect a child from other people and from from either causing harm or being harmed?
Okay, looking at the provisions of the Children's Act right now, the Children's Act, it's very clear. You cannot detain children with adults. But then the realistic thing on the ground is, do we have the facilities?
Right.
We don't. Because the only center that we have right now, it's the JUS one. That is the detention center.
Yes.
That's why when you look at the Children's Act, it discourages the issue of detaining a child. What the Children's Act advocate for, it's whatever it takes. If it is in his or her best interest to release the child, that should be the first option you should consider. The issue of detention and putting the child in a single place, it's only as a matter of last resort. That's what the Children's Act is saying.
But I mean, how, I mean, the ones we have in Joswang, how good are they? I mean, to detain a child there? If at all that's the last resort, to detain a child, there's no option. I mean, I think these are things that should be reviewed.
I think I will totally agree with you. It's the fundamental question is the detention center in Joswang conducive for children?
Absolutely.
To be honest, it's not. To be honest, it's not. Because when it comes to the issue of children, in fact, when you looked at what the drafters of the law envisage, it's like once a child is detained, it's not just detaining the child and putting the child in one place. It's because the principles of the Children's Act is anchored on the best interest of the child. That best interest of the child is anchored in 3 principles. We call it the 3 R's. That's reformation, rehabilitation, and reintegration. So where we have reached at a point that the only decision that we can take is to detain a child, detaining the child is not enough. The child has to be reformed, he has to be rehabilitated, so that when he is reintegrated back to society, he can come with the positive change that we need, and he can contribute his quota to the welfare and the development of society.
But it's very sad. Do we have a rehabilitation center? I mean, where children will be trained, where they will pick up good attitude. I mean, that's the problem, Mr. Ade.
Because I heard Tamsir Jallo there talking earlier on. You talked about social worker, and you talked about probation officers and so on. Do we have the capacity for this? And also, one of the things, and I'm not asking you for statistical sort of being definite, but what are the incidences of sort of child arrests in the country? Is there a high incidence of that?
Yes, there is a high incidence of that, because when you looked at the National Agency for Legal Aid, you go through their statistic, you looked at it, you will realize that the issue of detention of children is a bit high. So what happened is, even though they are arrested, but now detaining them in one place, when you go to Joswang, you realize that the number of detained children is very low.
Right.
Because what happened, this is the way the Children's Act is drafted.
Sure.
So the issue of bail is mandatory. So once a child is arrested, the police, first thing that they should do is to consider bail. So where the police deem it necessary not to grant a bail, they should take it to the court.
Sure.
And the court should determine whether to grant bail or not. But what the Children's Act is saying, for any offense that involves a child, that child is entitled to be granted bail.
Right.
The only time the court can refuse to grant bail is when it is not in the best interest of the child to grant. So that comes back to the issue of protection that should be accorded to children.
Well, interesting. I think these are things that should be looked into. These are very sensitive children. According to what they say, they are the leaders of tomorrow. So it's important the way we handle them, the way we deal with them. But I am a bit confused. I mean, still I like asking this question all the time. When you talk about children, legal aid will tell you there are certain ages when a child commits a crime.
12 to 18.
That child, that crime, like the child doesn't have the mind to think this is a crime that I committed.
Now, when you looked at the Children's Act, Gambia is part of the international community. And then the international community, when you look at the CRC, and in other countries, even though we have difference in certain countries, but there is an age of criminal responsibility. And certain countries, they have it around 14. Certain countries, they have it around lower. But in the Gambia here, the age of criminal responsibility is 12 years. That's what the law said. But if it is in a situation where the child had been procured by an adult to commit the crime, that adult can be held liable. But when the child is less than the age of 12, the law says the child cannot commit an offense. But where someone procured the child to commit the offense, that person can be held liable for the actions of that.
What will happen if a child is arrested by maybe a policeman and taken to the police station and sent inside the cell directly? What did the law say about that?
That is wrong. The law prohibits it. Because when you look at, that's why when you look at the Children's Act, it is one of the most comprehensive laws that we have in this country. It tries to address each and every aspect of the child.
Indeed.
It says children cannot be detained with adult. And they further says that, in fact, the issue of detention is as a means of last resort. That's why they did not only stop there. The law even went further to give a time frame under which a child can be detained. Because it is saying where a child is arrested for matters that are misdemeanors offenses, the maximum period you can detain the child within the time of the trial is 3 months. Where a child is arrested for issues of offenses that are serious, like murder and others, the maximum period you can detain the child is 6 months. And the law did not only stop that. It went further to say all cases involving children shall be disposed of within 12 months. So it is only the Children's Act that goes to that extent, where it gives time frame on how to deal with issues related to children.
But is it happening? I mean, do we still have those, I mean, beautiful laws ongoing in our country? Are they happening here?
It is a challenge. It is a challenge. But we are making progress as a nation. Because now when you looked at statistic-wise, the number of cases that you will have in your statistic that are progressing in court, and you go to the detention center and you visit, you find the number there, the number is really small. So even though we have some challenges, but we are still working as a nation, and there we are making a progress.
So how often do you engage, I mean, our security personnel, you know, from your end? How often do you engage them, maybe on capacity building, I mean, training them on certain things, I mean, teaching them certain things?
Yes. We have to acknowledge that there is a capacity gap. We have to acknowledge that, especially within the security sector. It's not only within the security sector. I think it's a general problem that we have to acknowledge as a nation. But now when it comes to the issue of dealing with the children, you have people that are really committed within the security sector. Some of them, the moment a child is arrested, they don't even wait for the matter to be taken to court and orders. Some of them, the moment it is done, they contact legal aid, so that legal aid will step in and see how to assist that child. And in situations like that, sometimes what legal aid will do is to engage them, because the law gives the police the power to grant bail immediately when it comes to children. The law even gives them the power to dispose of certain cases at the police station level when it's involved children. So what we do, we looked at the circumstances of the case. When it is a case that falls within that category, then you can engage the police officer. So when it's involved the issue of issuing bail, you can talk to him and he will issue bail in the meantime while we proceed with the matter to court. So that normally that is what happens.
Well, interesting, Mr. Ade.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask you, having been involved in the sector for such a long time, if I were to say to you 3 wishes that you would like to see implemented to actually make your work easier and also the protection of children better, what would those 3 things be?
One of the things that I will advocate is for us to work more on the issue of rehabilitation. And we should look at the issue of rehabilitation, reforming these children. Because of sometimes you have seen a situation where someone is in and out,
Right.
But when you also talk to the person, you do your own background check, you realize that it is not the person, it is not the child hazard, it's the environment
that they find themselves in.
So it's something that we all need to look at as a nation, and then we need to acknowledge that we are having an issue about it, and then we should sit, discuss about it, and we see how we should proceed. And then the other thing, the other wish that I have is I don't wish to see any child being involved in such a situation, because of it's a bit tricky. Sometimes children comes out of it, reformed, they become better. But sometimes being subjected through the process, it can change the person and makes the person to be something else. And also the issue of how society looks at things, and in the Gambia here, knowing how it is, the moment someone is arrested, people just conclude. And how people can just be tagging names on people and others, it's also something that we need to look at.
All right, thank you very much, Tamsir, for coming on this program. And be reminded, viewers, I mean, Tamsir and his colleagues will be on this program every Wednesday to discuss the law. I mean, people need to understand how to do certain things, and things that, you know, they are your rights. I mean, it's important for us to know. If certain things are happening, it's just a matter of ignorance of the law. Some don't know. Thank you very much for coming on this program. Now we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll do the click segment with Skengman Swize. We'll be back.
The biggest mobile money service in the Gambia has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure, and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
To build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
With ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Save up to 50% energy with the new side-by-side Samsung refrigerator. Samsung air conditioners come with HD filter and antibacterial for your protection. Save time, energy, and effort by using our washing machines, loaded with innovative features that offer superior cleaning technology. Step into the future of television with our slick and slim Samsung Smart TV designs. Sizes range from 32 to 85 inches. Smart LED, Crystal UHD Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dark LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV. Unparalleled vision, right from the comfort of your living room. Our products are backed with 1-year warranty. Visit us at QCell Building at Caraba Avenue or at Boost Turntable. Contact us on 333-3217 or email us at info@quantumnet.gm. Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. And that's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, we innovate, others follow. Your favorite QCell service has gotten bigger. eFunkanta. Now you can loan bigger credit amounts to make life easier for you. Loan $75 and $100 and pay later. Yes, you heard me right. Get credit loan from $10 to $100 using eFunkanta by dialing *393#. Anytime you run out of credit, whether you want to buy Q-Power, browse the internet, make urgent calls, or send SMS. eFunkanta is the service for you. Dial *393# and choose the loan amount of your choice with no hassle. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell.
This is QTV this morning. And now we are going straight to the click segment. We have Skengman Sweezy in the building. Skengman, over to you.
I'm in the building, man. Good morning, guys. I'm Skengman Sweezy. And we're not having fun today, actually. Today we're talking business, strictly business today, man. And with me in the studio, I have Abdullah and I have CA, man. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, man. First of all, today we're talking about productions. Not only production, we're talking about visual productions as well. And we're talking about the work you guys have put in making sure the Gambian industry has a better visuals compared to previous years, bro, to be honest. So I want to know, actually, gentlemen, what got you guys into production or video shooting and documenting?
For me, like Cinetrix Media, the whole point of Cinetrix Media is to change the narrative of African stories. And we realized that, you know, stories are mostly told by people from outside. They'll come in, get some stories, and change it in the way they want it for their audience. They're not made for African audience.
Right.
So this is why we thought of, you know, why I think we can do the same thing and, you know, make our own stories and say it the way that we want to tell it instead of other people doing it. So the hardest aspect was how do we actually try to make sure that we get the same quality.
Exactly.
We do have the stories, but do we get the same quality?
Quality as other people
Yes,
as well.
and this is where Cinetrix came in. We decided to make sure that we had to produce anything that came out of it had to be an international standard. So we had to make sure that it is not only competing with people in the country anymore. That was low for us.
Exactly.
We were competing with people outside and all production companies outside. And we had to see how what are the things they put in place, which was very difficult because coming from the Gambia, you know, if you look at equipment-wise and all of that budgeting, it's difficult. But the whole point was get the knowledge and then implement the other things that needed to come and grow it from there. Right.
So see you as well. What got into production, bro?
Just curiosity, man. And I saw that like people need visuals in it. A lot of artists need visuals and that. So I'm good at editing in it. That's why I say like, man, you know what? I'm gonna pick up a camera and then shoot in it.
Start doing your thing as well.
Start doing my thing in it.
Yeah,
so I just started with 3, and now look. Making more
going
money,
international, bro.
Yeah,
you know, I saw your budget, I was surprised. Exactly, man. So yeah, we all know the industry it's and Loving as well. It's still developing. We're not yet there, but we're trying to get there as well. Yeah. And we know nowadays people don't go for crappy videos. They go for videos with expensive and with good visuals as well, man. So for you so far, I know since when you started filming, you've started filming like for years now, if I could say, bro. Because I know you. The last time I met you, that was like 5 years ago when you were shooting Sunita's video. One Voice, exactly. So that video actually helped Sunita to regain the recognition that she has today in the Gambia. The video helped her as well to get contract from the First Lady and other international platform as well, bro. I know you put in the effort to make sure the industry is, the videos are always quality. So what I want to know is, what are your constraints as a video producer in the Gambia?
The constraints are many. Like I said, most of the equipments we get, they're not from here, and they're from outside, and they're in US dollars. So imagine having that, like let's say a camera costs like $1,000, for instance, and then you need to come back here, and then you have to. Camera doesn't come with the lens. It doesn't come with the batteries. It comes with so many things. It's a whole video production. It's not. We're not doing a run and gun where you have one camera, you move to a place, stand here and shoot. It doesn't work like that anymore. And we figured that, you know, everything needed to change because Senegal has changed as well, and all other countries, Nigeria has changed, and why shouldn't we, you know? And we needed to put up something that would that other people would follow as well, and set an example for other videographers to follow. And that's our main. But the main problem is budget-wise. You know, the industry, as you know, the music industry is just growing. You know, and now at least it's a place where you say, you know, it's standing on its own in a way, and artists can't pay. They can't afford you. So you need to find like that fine line where you know that you can be able to help them up, and they can be able to help you in a way. But growing company in the Gambia, it's very difficult.
It's always difficult, to be honest. I'm not going to lie on that, man. You're very right as well. And now to UCA, you're new into the game. You just started doing it less than 2 years, if I could say, bro.
6 years, man.
No, like I started seeing your videos like less than 2 years, bro. You started getting the recognition like less than 2 years.
That's
not long ago. So to me, actually, you're new into the game because people are getting to know you now. So what I want to know is actually, I know you've been working with mostly underground artists, and you're giving them the quality as well because you've done video for Lil Palms, Mr. Chaco, you know. And other people as well, man, which is really making waves, man. No lie on that, man. How are you coping in the Gambia when it comes to video production? As well as working with underground artists, because you've not started shooting for big artists yet.
Yeah. Well, it's going, it's cool though, innit? I'm enjoying it, innit? Because like, most of them come and say like, man, I'm not lying, I got this for a music video, innit? So I understand them, and I say like, man, yeah, let's just do it, innit? Because we're all family, fam, you get me? But if I say like, man, I'm gonna charge them more than that, innit? What they cannot afford, it's gonna be costly, innit? I'm not going to afford it at the end of the day, so I'm going to lose my business in it. So that's what.
Okay, now what I observe in the Gambia is, you know, video production, it needs a whole team sort of. You need to have a script writer. You need to have the DOP itself, the guy that's going to direct the video. You need to have a camera team. You need to have equipment as well. You need to have a sound guy that will be recording sound as well. But in the Gambia, we don't have those people actually. I don't know, it's because of the lack of the institution that we have in the Gambia, that people don't go to study things like that. So you see one man try to maneuver everything, like you see one person that is a DOP, he's a producer, he's a director, and you know, he's doing everything.
Yeah.
So what I want to know actually is, are you working with other people outside to make sure you have the better production that you need? Because I know you cannot do it alone, bro.
No. So I had the opportunity to learn, you know, most departments when it comes to video production. So I actually learned it professionally, and I went to China, Beijing, and did the theater management and all of that. But my point is, if you want to make something serious, you cannot be a one-man person. You have to be focused. Yeah. And because each place, there's a place you grow. As a video director, you need to grow as well. As a DP, you have to grow. Despite the fact I'm good at, I can say somehow at all of those, I have a focus. Coming to your question, we do have a team. Okay. It's not only me. We have a scriptwriter. We even have a production manager, because without a production manager, it's chaotic.
It's not possible, bro.
Yes. And we had to also put in place, the thing is, we as a company had to start something new, which is build basics that other video production companies or producers can follow, which has to do with contracts. In our contract, you're late for an hour, you pay, because you're wasting our time. Okay. You know, but you know, these are things that people need to understand. You're also helping the artist, but they don't know. Exactly. You know, since we know that, we're pushing you and advising you to do those things so that you can grow. But yeah, we have a whole team. You know, I'm a DP and a camera person, but then you have like Shai Lombok, and by the way, our whole team inside Synertrix Media, I'm the only guy. The rest are all women. So we have about six women, and I'm the only person who's a guy. Okay. So you see, all of us understand what we need to do when we go on set. They take care of the things they're supposed to take care as a team. And then that's why our video production, you see that our production are well proper, because we do not want to do the Gambian way, to be honest with you. We don't want to do anything that's related to the Gambian way. Nowadays, it's not proper, you understand? And people trying to say, Gambiala, there's nothing like Gambiala. You know, for us to be able to go to another level, we need to change these things. And this is why Synertrix Media is here.
Synertrix Media is doing everything, man. Now, when it comes to your videos, mostly it's just Alhaji CA that I see in the videos.
But say this one, I got Korean.
But you know, you don't tell. It's not on your video. Yeah, before, it doesn't show on it.
Yeah, before I used to show them, but then after, so like, let me just put the CA there in it, because they get paid in it. So that's why. So if you get paid, what's the intention of giving you credit, fam?
You're right as well. So
it,
no, but you should give them credit, because they also contribute.
I got manager too in it, teacher. Shout out to her in it. She's my best friend too. You understand? I got crew. Zero Goose, they helped me a lot, fam. You understand? I got a lot of people, man, who even want to shoot music videos, but I say like, okay, come, let's just go on set, man, and I'll help you up in it. Okay. You want to understand something, yeah.
That's a nice one, man. Obviously, we're running out of time, but before we take a leave of you, bro, we're not taking leave of you right now. Let's just go for a quick break. We're going to check the videos that these guys here did, you know, and when we're back, we continue the interview. We're going to wrap it up just after these videos. Yeah.
Scorpion, hey, number one. Con teleka nyama, teleka balisino la. Con teleka nyama, con teleka sasa, teleka balidomoro la. Con teleka sasa, hey. I'm the only man she wants, yeah. She telling me I'm the only man she wants, yeah. I'm the only man she wants, yeah. She telling me I'm the only man she wants. I'm the only man.
Yeah, man, that's it right there. The video is done by Ablai. The video is really nice, to be honest, man. I know a lot of you can relate to it, man, because this video has been making waves in the Gambia as well, man. Now we're going for a quick break as well. This one is done by my brother right here, man, CA. We'll be right back.
It's Joe's music. Our trap, baby.
Balalen. Balalen. Nigga, balalen. Balalen. You mad? Hey, what? Balalen. 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 Balalen.
Right there, man, right there, man. That's another video by CA. You know, these guys are doing great, to be honest, man. I'm not gonna lie. We're running out of time, but to be honest, what I want to ask is actually, what do you want to see change in the industry when it comes to video production? I know there's a lot of lapses that are going on actually when it comes to the music industry alone. Not only like everything that consists of the music industry, but what do you want to see change actually quickly, like in 30 seconds, and same to you as well, bro?
Yeah, I think it's just attitude at the end of the day. It covers everything that we need to do as a country. It's not only for even every industry. We just need to change our attitude to know that the world is moving very fast, and for us to be able to keep up or even just be in the race, we need to change our attitude towards our work, towards whatever we're doing. Exactly. So that's my take, because it's based on experience as well. You would go very far if you change your attitude and be serious in what you're doing.
Exactly, we should, man. So you as well.
Yeah, for me, like, artists need to invest more in their music videos, innit? Because we want to get like a better music video, fam. We must invest in it. Yeah. Understand? So you must make sure that you got a proper budget for a music video, fam. You're gonna say like, man, I need a music video that looks like Team Win's music video, and at the end of the day, you're not investing money.
Exactly.
That you're gonna get a music video that's exactly like his, innit?
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people try to copy Tion and other people as well, but it's good as well, to be honest, man. Sure. So for my end, I'm saying bye-bye, man, till I come over tomorrow again. Back to you, Valde.
Yes, I mean, we've come to the end of the program. The motivation for me today is from that guy. He said, change attitude and be serious in what you do. Well, that's motivational. Well, viewers, thank you very much. See you tomorrow and have a wonderful day.